specialize in intellectual property, entertainment, media, fashion, and technology law, and I am based in Kenya. I also sit on the advisory board of the Fashion Law Africa Summit, and welcome to the 2023 Summit. So today, I'll be talking about unlocking global success and the strategies for African businesses and brands to expand from local to global markets with key legal and business insights. I think the time is now for Africa. Everyone is looking to African brands, to Africa as a continent for inspiration. So who better than us ourselves to tell our narrative and to sell ourselves and to sell our brands and package ourselves, and make the money, because that's what it's all about. So what are the key challenges that African brands commonly face when attempting to expand into global markets, and how can they overcome these challenges? I think the main challenge is always knowledge. Knowledge about the law, about the practices of a possible jurisdiction where you want to expand your business. And it means, just knowing how to register a business, what are the tax issues that you need to comply with, what are the labor laws like, what are some of the issues you need to consider and factor in when setting up shop, setting up a factory, you're going to employ people, and what are the labor laws. So you find that kind of information is really, really important. And unfortunately for most brands, especially African brands, they tend to not find an opportunity to save up for legal costs. For some reason, legal costs are viewed to be more of a liability than an investment. And I think that is where we really go wrong, and we must, by all means, always plan and invest in the legal issues first, because that is the foundation of any business. And that would mean, retaining proper counsel who has either networks or can practice in multiple jurisdictions, including maybe the ones of interest, so that they can be able to sort of prepare you for this information. Another thing that I always see with African brands is that they tend to just jump into a situation without doing that proper research, without preparing themselves financially, spiritually, mentally, because business entails you applying yourself wholesomely. So again, when it comes down to the legal knowledge and just knowledge in general, you need to have a professional or a team of professionals who will help you put that together and package you accordingly, and help you, just so that you can plan, because business is about financial planning as well. What are you going to invest in? And you must invest in legal first, because that's what establishes what you can or cannot do. What are the fundamental legal considerations African brands should be aware of when entering international markets, and how can they navigate the complexities of international business law? I'd say get a team. A team is everything. You cannot do everything by yourself. Everyone is an expert in a different field. Let the legal experts help you. Find a way to engage a legal team or a firm, or just basically people who have that expertise. And then what you do is you interrogate how everything is being handled, because you also need the basic knowledge around what things are being done, what are the issues that you need to be on top of, what are the compliance issues. Because also when you have a team, as an owner of a brand, you must take charge, because you're the captain of the ship, right? You need to know what's happening in the business. You need to know what needs to be done, how it's being done, because you're the accounting officer, right? And you are accountable for your business. So, like I said earlier, just the issues around knowledge require a proper team. So aside from just the legal issues, even marketing, you may have these fabulous ideas, but how are you going to execute them? Do they make sense? Are they applicable in a jurisdiction of your interest? Then what are some effective branding and marketing strategies for African companies looking to establish a strong global presence and compete with established international brands? I would say, first, protect your brands. Register those trademarks, especially in your countries of interest. Intellectual property is territorial, so you must designate, you must appoint the countries that you want your brand to be exploited in. You must protect also in your country of manufacturing. We always tend to forget that, and we have to really be fierce with protecting and asserting our intellectual property rights, because when you look at some of the global brands, that is how they are or have gotten to be who they are today. The likes of Adidas, you know, the number of lawsuits that they have had to sort of defend their three-stripe mark is really impressive, and that is how they still, you know, remain a force to reckon with in the fashion industry. Again, the issue of even just research when you're creating your trademarks or your brands. You know, if you are fortunate to already have a vision by the time you're starting a business, then you, from the onset, you must think in that context. You see, when you're creating brands, there's the issue of, you know, vulgarity, for example. You may use a word that in your country sounds cool, or it means something cool or fun. But in another country, maybe that country of interest, you find that it's a vulgar word. That means that then in that country it cannot be registered. So, you know, that kind of research is always important that you're party to, and that you're part of the marketing team to help with that. Always make sure that legal is part of the marketing team. I think even the international brands tend to forget that, and that's how some of them find themselves in legal situations and find themselves being sued left, right, and center, because legal is not part of the you know, the creative process. They're not part of the marketing process, and they need to be involved so that they can assert and help, you know, assert the law and help in navigating the law, and what you can or cannot do, or how you can do it. Otherwise, you know, you really expose yourself as a brand. And again, you know, I cannot emphasize enough how protective lawyering is always much cheaper than, you know, being in litigation and defending a lawsuit. So what financial and funding options are available to African brands seeking to finance their international expansion efforts, and how can they secure investment from global investors? Well, first of all, a global investor wants to know that your books look good. They want to see that, you know, you have protected your intellectual property assets, which means you're constantly protecting your designs, your brand. You're also defending these rights, because, you know, intellectual property doesn't stop at registration. It's a continuous process. It's about asserting those rights. When you see someone online, you know, engaging in activities that are either infringing on your brand, or even just watering down the reputation of your mark, you know, you must do something, because an investor wants to see a business that cares, a business owner that cares about their brand and their assets. And, you know, when your books look good, then, you know, the chances of attracting an investor are really high. You also have to put yourself in spaces where you will network with like-minded people, with investors. That means also you have to set aside a budget, a marketing budget, where you find yourself in the right spaces. You have to do the research, which are some of these events or platforms where you can meet investors, where you can pitch and showcase your work. But I cannot emphasize enough the issue of protection and registration of intellectual property, because that is what any investor is interested in when we're talking about the fashion space. It's about the designs, it's about the asset itself, and these are the designs, and you must protect them to turn them into assets. And again, that needs a competent team, so that you make sure that the strategy is solid and it makes sense. And at the same time, the same team will be able to help you polish your work, assert your rights both online and physically. You know, how do you prepare yourself for Fashion Week, for example? You know, you have to protect, you know, your brand. You have to protect your designs. Also do the research in terms of the country which you're going to be showcasing at, and just see what kind of issues, underlying issues that you could potentially face, and protect yourself. Again, legal is really the foundation of any solid business in general, not just in the creative sector, but in all businesses. All the business moguls are where they are because of, you know, understanding the law and having a fierce legal team help them from the beginning. Are there specific cultural and market nuances that African brands should consider when expanding into different global regions, and how can they tailor their strategies to local preferences and trends? I think this requires a lot of research in terms of the market you expect or you hope to expand into. What do they like? How do they speak? How do they want to be spoken to? What are some of the issues that they relate with? Because you could have this fabulous brand, but if you do not market it in a language that is understood by the demographic you are targeting, then you may find that you will not be as successful as you need to be. Which means also the issue of language, the issue of even packaging. Sometimes packaging may have to change in the different countries that you are expanding to, so that you can be more attractive. So it's really important. It goes again into that issue of research and having the right team. I would say when you are, going into a global market or a foreign market, also employ and work with locals, right? Because they have the insight that you would benefit from as a brand. They would help you with ideas in terms of marketing, in terms of packaging, in terms of campaigns and collaborations. Really, really important. So I think when it comes to culture, it's really about understanding the people and the demographic. Nothing more can be said about that. And then, seeing also what are some of the things that you might need to tweak into your business, so that it becomes more attractive, right? You may want to create specific lines, fashion lines for a particular region also, because of how maybe they view fashion or some of the things that they enjoy interacting with in terms of materials, designs, and colors. So really, market research is everything. What success stories or case studies can provide practical insights and inspiration for African brands looking to achieve global success, and what lessons can be learned from these examples? I think the brand I have really enjoyed watching as they grow, as they scale up, has been Mangosa. I really Mangosa. Forgive me. I'm not from the southern part of Africa, so but when online they will say Makosa or Mangosa or something. But it's by Laduma, and he exploits the that's also a brand. I'm sorry. It's I know it's South African languages are really beautiful, and we envy that clicking sound. So, but Laduma is doing a really good job at protecting his brand. In terms of just in the spaces that he has showcased, the different fashion shows and fashion weeks that he has been at, the kind of exposure that he's gotten from different magazines, from Vogue to Glamour and all these amazing fashion magazines and trendsetters. And most of all, I admire that he's taking on Zara. It's an ongoing case of infringement of his designs, copyright infringement. So I'm really keeping an eye out to see how that case goes and what that judgment will look like. But it's a step in the right direction, and I admire that he is doing that. So please take notes and learn from him. Studio 189, it's based in New York, a Ghanaian brand doing some amazing stuff. When I first interacted with this brand in Ghana, I was really impressed in terms of how they appreciate their roots. They actually manufacture from Ghana and then sell from New York and distribute from New York. Really impressive, their marketing. There's some simplicity that they employ, but it's glamorous simplicity. I don't know if that makes sense. There's Tebe Magugu, Lemlem, Telfa, Mowalola. All these and many more African brands are really doing great things and asserting their dominance in the market. and it's impressive to watch. And the fact that they are standing means that they are doing something right, and the best way to do something right is by starting right, which is legal. Legal is not a loss. Investing in legal is an investment. Putting aside money for legal, legal knowledge helps you look into what is possible in terms of marketing. You could invest in a brand, and then by the time you are probably registering the brand, it's not trademarkable, for example, or it was already trademarked by a similar individual or company, or in the particular classes you want to register in, they are not available. There was some phonetic similarity that already exists in like there are all these issues, and when you do this as part of the preliminary protections and preliminary proceedings, then you're able to protect your brand. When you don't, then you find that you will hemorrhage a lot of money. And when you're starting out a business, you want to save every coin, because every coin counts. The expenses tend to be much higher: setting up costs, salaries, rent for your premises, production for your designs, shipping, setting up infrastructure. Maybe you want to sell online. You may need to license a platform or build your own platform. So you can see those costs can be pretty hefty. So you need to really save your coins and start right. So I really hope that that was useful and that you were taking notes. And I wish you the very best as you walk this journey of creating your African brand.